Humans got a raw deal. We're slow. We're soft. We can't see in the dark. We can't regrow a finger. And a bad fall from a ladder can end the whole story. Meanwhile, there are animals walking, swimming, and floating around right now with abilities that sound like they were written into a comic book. Not weird abilities, not gross ones, powers you would actually want, the kind that would genuinely upgrade your life if you woke up with them tomorrow. So let's go through them, from the merely amazing to the frankly unfair, and end on the one animal that has quietly solved death. 3. The electric eel. Imagine settling every argument with a handshake. The electric eel, which, fun fact, isn't actually an eel, can generate a jolt of over 600 volts. Some deliver closer to 860. For comparison, the outlet in your wall is around 120. It does this with thousands of specialized cells called electrocytes, stacked in long rows like batteries in a flashlight. Each one holds a tiny charge. Fire them all at the exact same instant, and the voltage adds up fast. It uses weak pulses like radar, sensing the world around it in muddy water where eyes are useless. And when it wants to hunt, it cranks the power up and stuns everything nearby. There's one more trick. When threatened by something big, the eel will rise out of the water and press itself against the animal, delivering the shock directly instead of letting the water dilute it. It has essentially figured out how to aim. A built-in weapon you can never lose, never reload, and never leave at home. Deeply, deeply useful. 4. The mantis shrimp. Now things get violent. The peacock mantis shrimp is small, palm-sized, brightly coloured. It looks like a floating jewel. It also throws the fastest punch in the animal kingdom. It has 2 spring-loaded club-shaped arms. It winds them back like a crossbow, locks them in place, then releases. The strike accelerates as fast as a bullet fired from a handgun. But the truly absurd part is what happens around the punch. It moves so fast that it rips the water apart, creating a bubble of vapor. When that bubble collapses, it releases a burst of heat and a flash of light. For a fraction of a second, are reaching temperatures that rival the surface of the sun. That means the mantis shrimp hits its target twice, once with the club, and a heartbeat later with the shockwave, even if it completely misses. It punches so hard that in captivity, it has cracked aquarium glass. You would never need to open a jar again. 5. The cuttlefish. Let's talk about disappearing. The cuttlefish can change the colour and pattern of its entire body in a fraction of a second. Not slowly, like a chameleon over a few minutes. Instantly. Its skin is packed with millions of tiny colour sacs it can squeeze open and shut, layered over cells that reflect and scatter light. Drop a cuttlefish onto a checkerboard, and it becomes a checkerboard. Move it to gravel, and it's gravel. It can even flash rippling waves of colour across its skin to hypnotise prey. Here's the strangest twist. As far as we can tell, the cuttlefish is colourblind. It's producing perfect colour camouflage while, in some sense, unable to see the colours it's making. Scientists think it might read colour a completely different way, through the shape of its own eyes bending light. Instant, flawless disguise that adapts to any background you stand against. That's not just invisibility. That's invisibility with style. 2. The gecko. Every kid who watched a superhero climb a building has wanted this one. Geckos can walk straight up a pane of glass, upside down, hanging from a single toe. And here's the part that makes it a genuinely great superpower. There's no glue, no suction, and nothing sticky involved at all. Each gecko toe is covered in millions of microscopic hairs called setae. Each of those splits into hundreds of even smaller tips. At that scale, a strange force takes over. The faint molecular attraction between surfaces that are close enough to almost touch. Individually, it's nothing. Multiplied across billions of contact points, it's enough to hold the entire animal's weight. A gecko could theoretically hang from the ceiling holding a small child, and its feet wouldn't slip. Even better, the grip switches off instantly. The gecko just changes the angle of its toes and peels away. No residue, no effort. Silent, clean, works on almost any surface. This is the good version of wall crawling, and your hands would still be free. 6. The bat. You already have 5 senses. This animal has one you've never even experienced. Bats navigate in total darkness using echolocation. They send out high-pitched clicks, far above what human ears can hear, and listen for the echoes bouncing back. From those echoes, the bat builds a complete picture of the world. Not a blurry one, a precise one. It can tell how far away something is, how big it is, which direction it's moving, and even its texture. Enough to snatch a single mosquito out of the air in pitch black. And here's why this belongs on the list. A small number of humans have actually learned to do a rough version of it. People who lost their sight have trained themselves to click their tongue and read the echoes, navigating hallways, avoiding obstacles, even riding bikes. So this isn't pure fantasy. It's a sense your brain might just be capable of, sitting unused. A way to perceive the world with the lights off? 1. The peregrine falcon. Let's start with the obvious fantasy. Going fast. The peregrine falcon is the fastest animal on the planet. Not the fastest bird, the fastest anything. When it spots prey below, it folds its wings into a teardrop shape and drops. This is called a stoop. And in that dive, it hits speeds over 240 miles per hour. That's faster than a Formula 1 car. Coming straight down, on purpose. The problem with going that fast is that the air itself becomes dangerous. Breathe wrong at those speeds and the pressure can rupture your lungs. So the falcon has tiny cone-shaped bumps inside its nostrils that slow the incoming air just enough to breathe. Engineers studied those bumps while designing jet engine intakes. It also has a clear third eyelid that wipes across the eye mid-dive, keeping its vision sharp while everything else is a blur. Would you want this? A body built to survive terminal velocity with the reflexes to aim while doing it? Absolutely. Sign me up. 7. The naked mole rat. This one is ugly, genuinely, memorably ugly, and it might be the most valuable power on the entire list. The naked mole rat looks like a sausage with teeth, but hiding inside that wrinkled little body is a stack of biological cheat codes. First, it barely gets cancer. Its cells are packed with a gooey substance that keeps them from crowding together and forming tumours. Researchers have struggled to give these animals cancer on purpose. Second, it doesn't seem to age the normal way. Most animals get more likely to die every year they're alive. The naked mole rat doesn't follow that rule. A 10-year-old one is about as likely to die as a 2-year-old one. They live past 30, impossibly long for a rodent their size. Third, it feels no pain from acid or chili peppers. Its nerves simply don't register it. And fourth, it can survive with almost no oxygen for 18 minutes by switching its metabolism to run on plant sugar, like a houseplant. Cancer resistance, near agelessness, and an off switch for pain. This is the power you'd want if you actually thought about it. 8. The wood frog. Now we cross into powers that sound impossible. When winter comes, the wood frog does something no mammal can survive. It freezes solid. Its heart stops beating. Its blood stops flowing. Ice fills the spaces around its organs. Up to 2/3 of the water in its body turns to solid ice. By every normal definition, the frog is dead. The trick is that before it freezes, the frog floods its cells with sugar, which acts like antifreeze inside each one. The water between cells is allowed to freeze. The water inside them is protected. So the delicate machinery survives, paused, while the rest of the body becomes a frog-shaped ice cube. Then spring arrives. The frog thaws from the inside out. The heart shudders back to life, and it hops away like nothing happened. Press pause on your own body. Skip the parts you'd rather sleep through. Wake up later, unharmed. Tell me you wouldn't take that. 9. The axolotl. Here's the one everyone secretly wants most, growing body parts back. The axolotl is a permanently baby-faced salamander with a cartoonish smile, and it is the undisputed champion of regeneration. Lose a leg? It grows back, perfectly. Bones, muscles, nerves, blood vessels, all correctly arranged with no scar. But it doesn't stop at limbs. The axolotl can regrow parts of its heart, parts of its jaw, its spinal cord, even portions of its brain. You can injure the same limb again and again, and it will rebuild it every single time without the quality dropping off. Where our bodies rush to seal a wound with scar tissue, the axolotl does something smarter. It sends the cells at the wound back to an earlier blank state and then rebuilds the missing part from scratch, as if reading the original blueprint. Scientists are studying it obsessively because somewhere in that little smiling salamander is the instruction manual for regrowing human limbs. Imagine never fearing a serious injury again. 10. The tardigrade. We're almost at the top, and the powers are getting ridiculous. This animal is nearly impossible to kill. The tardigrade is microscopic, chubby, 8-legged, weirdly adorable under a microscope, and it can survive things that would erase almost anything else. Boiling heat, cold near absolute zero, pressure far beyond the deepest ocean, radiation hundreds of times past a lethal human dose. It can survive being completely dried out, losing nearly all the water in its body, and staying that way for years. And in 2007, scientists did something wild. They put living tardigrades on the outside of a spacecraft and exposed them to the raw vacuum of space. They survived. In space. Unprotected. The secret is that when conditions get bad, the tardigrade curls into a tiny ball, expels its water, and enters a kind of suspended state. Barely alive, chemically frozen in time, waiting. Add a drop of water later, and it wakes up. Nearly unkillable, and able to wait out any disaster. That's about as close to invincible as biology gets. 11. The immortal jellyfish, and now the finale. The one that beat the final boss. There's a jellyfish, smaller than your fingernail, called Turritopsis dohrnia, and it has, in a very real sense, solved death. Most animals grow up, get old, and die. That's the deal. That's the one rule nobody escapes. This jellyfish escapes it. When it's injured, starving, or simply old, it doesn't die. It reverses. Its adult body melts back down and reforms into its earliest life stage, a blob anchored to the seafloor. From there, it grows up all over again. It's the equivalent of an old man dissolving into a baby, then living a whole new life, then doing it again, and again. In the lab, researchers have watched it loop through this cycle over and over with no clear endpoint. It can still be eaten, it can still get sick, so it's not truly unkillable, but left alone, it simply refuses to die of old age. A living creature that treats aging as optional. Of every power on this list, that's the one we've chased the longest. And a jellyfish you could lose down a drain got there first. So there's your upgrade menu: speed, wall crawling, a built-in taser, the fastest punch on Earth, invisibility, a sixth sense, immunity to cancer and pain, the ability to freeze and revive, to regrow anything, to survive the vacuum of space, and to never grow old. Every single one of these is real. Everyone is out there right now in an animal that has no idea it's carrying something we'd trade almost anything for, which honestly raises an uncomfortable question. If evolution can hand a jellyfish immortality and a salamander a spare heart, what did it decide to spend our upgrade on instead? Think about it, and I'll see you in the next one.